Good evening, everybody. It is Sunday night. The finals just ended, and here I am, ready to kick off another night. Got all types of new stuff for everybody tonight. New content, better videos, more like the last few shows where I've had all the clips condensed together. I've been sitting here. I've got a bunch of stuff. I've been deciding how I want to do this. Do I want to start from the beginning and work my way to now, or go from my now and work my way back? I feel like I might go in. I might have to. I'm just going to go ahead and go in this order and see how it goes the first time around. Oh, look who it is. It's Gary. Welcome, brother. I'm going to start with this one, though, because I feel like this is would be the most relevant. So here we go, guys. Here we are. Hope everybody has a good day. What's up, Gary? What's up, Ryan? What's up, everybody? Let's go. Here we go. Right here. Boom.
Carried out massive precision strikes on the three key nuclear facilities in the Iranian regime: Fordow, Natanz, and Esfahan. Everybody heard those names for years as they built this horribly destructive enterprise. Our objective was the destruction of Iran's nuclear enrichment capacity and a stop to the nuclear threat posed by the world's #1 state sponsor of terror. Tonight, I can report to the world that the strikes were a spectacular military success. Iran's key nuclear enrichment facilities have been completely and totally obliterated. Iran, the bully of the Middle East, must now make peace. If they do not, future attacks will be far greater and a lot easier.
From the White House after those unprecedented strikes against Iran's nuclear enrichment sites, 3 in all in Isfahan, Fordow, and Natanz. And you mentioned the 6 bunker-busting bombs, Sean, that the president told you about. That means 3 B-2 bombers were involved in the strikes tonight, because each B-2 bomber can only carry 2 of those 15-ton bunker-busting bombs. So that means 3 B-2 bombers were involved. And as we heard from Jennifer's reporting, it's likely deception was involved. Everyone woke up this morning to chatter about these 6 B-2 bombers flying west over the Pacific, refueling over Hawaii at about 11 p.m. But it's clear now that those were decoys, and that another flight of B-2s flew east, likely 3 of them. When you said 6 bunker-busting bombs were dropped, that flight that went east went to the target and annihilated Fordow, as we're hearing, likely destroying Iran's nuclear enrichment program. As you mentioned, for 11 years, President Trump has made clear that Iran will not have a nuclear weapon. That was his red line, and tonight he enforced it. You mentioned the 30 Tomahawks fired from...
Congratulations, President Trump. Your bold decision to target Iran's nuclear facilities with the awesome and righteous might of the United States will change history. In Operation Rising Lion, Israel has done truly amazing things. But in tonight's action against Iran's nuclear facilities, America has been truly unsurpassed. It has done what no other country on earth could do. History will record that President Trump acted to deny the world's most dangerous regime the world's most dangerous weapons. His leadership today has created a pivot of history that can help lead the Middle East and beyond to a future of prosperity and peace. President Trump and I often say, peace through strength. First comes strength, then comes peace. And tonight, President Trump and the United States acted with a lot of strength. President Trump, I thank you. The people of Israel thank you. The forces of civilization thank you. God bless America. God bless Israel. And may God bless our unshakable alliance, our unbreakable faith.
For 40 years, Iran has been saying death to America, death to Israel. They have been killing our people, blowing off their arms, blowing off their legs with roadside bombs. That was their specialty. We lost over 1,000 people, and hundreds of thousands throughout the Middle East and around the world have died as a direct result of their hate. In particular, so many were killed by their general, Qasem Soleimani. I decided a long time ago that I would not let this happen. It will not continue. I want to thank and congratulate Prime Minister Bibi Netanyahu. We worked as a team like perhaps no team has ever worked before. And we've gone a long way to erasing this horrible threat to Israel. I want to thank the Israeli military for the wonderful job they've done. And most importantly, I want to congratulate the great American patriots who flew those magnificent machines tonight, and all of the United States military on an operation the likes of which the world has not seen in many, many decades. Hopefully, we will no longer need their services in this capacity. I hope that's so. I also want to congratulate the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Dan Raisin Kane, spectacular general, and all of the brilliant military minds involved in this attack. With all of that being said, this cannot continue. There will be either peace or there will be tragedy for Iran far greater than we have witnessed over the last 8 days. Remember, there are many targets left. Tonight's was the most difficult of them all, by far, and perhaps the most lethal. But if peace does not come quickly, we will go after those other targets with precision, speed, and skill. Most of them can be taken out in a matter of minutes. There's no military in the world that could have done what we did tonight, not even close. There has never been a military that could do what took place just a little while ago. Tomorrow, General Kane, Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth will have a press conference at 8 a.m. at the Pentagon. And I want to just thank everybody, and in particular, God. I want to just say, we love you, God, and we love our great military. Protect them. God bless the Middle East. God bless Israel, and God bless America. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Well, this is what kicks it off. Here's the new stuff now. Let's see what we got going now. Here's the new stuff. And I'll just work my way down.
I think the West is not particularly outraged by the bombing of Iran, but is instead praising its work.
That's what the most cynical people say. There will no longer be world order, only complete chaos. As the Russian president said today, World War III could be just around the corner. West's biases. It's no secret that they're trying to use Ukraine against Russia. They demonize Russia. Even the word demonist doesn't really convey how vicious their rhetoric and actions are. The female part of the European Commission is especially standing out. It's sad. As the president said during his address at the SPIEF 2025 forum and in other speeches, they are our neighbors, and we are not going to isolate ourselves from them. But they must change their approach, and then we shall see what they have to offer.
It is an outrageous, grave, and unprecedented violation of the fundamental principles of the Charter of the United Nations and international law. The warmongering and lawless administration in Washington is solely and fully responsible for the dangerous consequences and far-reaching implications of its act of aggression.
In the region, there are two stretches of water to worry about, both strategically vital. The Houthis could threaten shipping in the Red Sea, while Iran could directly target vessels in the Persian Gulf, as they've done before, harassing ships with smaller boats, firing rockets at them and seizing them. Now, if the Gulf goes up in flames, expect a big hit to the global economy and the price of oil too. The Iranians have threatened to shut off the Strait of Hormuz, this choke point through which a third of the world's seaborne oil passes. All this would send shockwaves through the world's financial markets. The US has massively increased its presence to retaliate to any retaliation, with no less than 3 aircraft carrier battle groups in the region. As things stand, this is almost certain to escalate, but could it also widen and suck other nations into the conflict? Russia and Iran have a strategic partnership agreement, but it doesn't require Moscow to come to Iran's support. Iran is also China's closest ally in the Middle East, but Beijing is also likely to sit this one out, it's thought, and watch from the sidelines. The priority for Iran's leadership is to survive, to fight another day, and redouble efforts eventually to build the bomb. If Israel can't change the regime in Iran, which isn't easy, it'll have to manage the Iranian threat and cut it down to size from time to time. That could mean years more military action and could be hugely costly for both Israel and its American backers. So Iran is in a very tight spot, but the future could be challenging for both Israel and America too.
So I think the reason why this is the beginning, not the end of conflict, is because when evidence emerges that Iran is rebuilding its nuclear weapons program, as I believe is likely to happen, are we, the United States, prepared to bomb it again? And if it starts to reconstitute again, are we prepared to bomb it again after that?
Exactly. And how long of a prolonged conflict could this mean that the United States just got itself involved in?
Now, Russia, of course, is signatory to the NPT. On paper, at least, that means that it cannot help Iran develop nuclear weapons or develop its nuclear program. I say that because we are seeing the Iranian foreign minister, going to Moscow tomorrow to meet with Vladimir Putin. And I just wonder if that's going to be a topic of discussion.
Well, absolutely, it would be a topic of discussion. But I think the topic is not that Iran would ask Russia for help building a nuclear weapon. That's beyond the pale. Russia, I see no reason that Russia would do that. What Iran would be asking for is diplomatic assistance to block any moves by the UN Security Council to impose any penalties on Iran. There is a set of penalties that European states have been ready to reimpose, and Iran will ask Russia's help in blocking that, and in pouring scorn and trying to castigate the United States. In your previous conversation, that talked about illegalities and so forth.
Are you concerned that there might be a ripple effect if Iran withdraws from the NPT? Other countries might be looking to do the same.
Oh, yes, I'm very concerned about that. I've been concerned about that for quite a while now. If Iran pulls out of the NPT, it doesn't necessarily mean that any other country would, but Saudi Arabia has vowed to match Iran if Iran were to go for nuclear weapons. And if Iran pulls out of the NPT, that would be a signal that Iran was seeking to pursue nuclear weapons in secret. Not necessarily the case, but that was what everyone would understand it to mean. And so Saudi Arabia, I think, would think about pulling out itself. And there might be other countries. Egypt, for example, has long been concerned that Israel doesn't face any international monitoring. And Egypt says that's unfair. And so Egypt, if others pulled out, might think that it would be worth their while to pull out. And, there could be other countries around the world similarly fed up with the international nuclear war.
The problem the United States and Israel have is Iran almost certainly has materials and equipment whose location we don't know about. So I've heard a lot this evening about the success of the attacks and how about the United States and Israel have destroyed facilities. But the problem that we now face is we haven't destroyed knowledge, we haven't destroyed materials, and we haven't destroyed equipment. And I don't think this attack has set Iran back nearly so far as some of the suggestions have indicated.
So, James, let me ask you more about that, because that is the suggestion that, maybe you can't take out the knowledge, maybe you can't take out, all of the equipment and facilities, but if you can set them back a number of years, that you weaken them dramatically, you could potentially reset peace talks or nuclear negotiations in the future. How much of a setback do you think a strike like this could be for Iran?
Well, there's two things that I'm very worried we haven't destroyed. The first thing is Iran's highly enriched uranium that was previously stored at Isfahan. Now, that was one of the facilities that was attacked tonight, but the Iranians have claimed, and I tend to believe them, that the highly enriched uranium had already been moved from Isfahan. This is material that is stored in things that look very much like scuba tanks. It's that small. Tracking that material is going to be exceptionally difficult. After the collapse of the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, the IAEA lost the ability to monitor the components that go into the centrifuges that Iran uses to enrich uranium. In my opinion, they've likely been spread around the entire country. What this means is that Iran has the ability to reconstitute its program probably in a short number of years. And don't forget, one of the arguments against the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action was that 10 to 15 years wasn't good enough of a delay.
As you know, Russia has built a nuclear reactor at Iran's Bushehr nuclear power plant, and according to Vladimir Putin, Russia has signed contracts for 2 more. And despite the hostilities, the Russian employees continue to work in Bushehr, so probably this issue will be raised tomorrow. Generally, the Russian side seems to be very disappointed with U.S. actions, and even though the Kremlin has not yet officially commented on the U.S. night strikes on Iran's nuclear facilities, the Russian Foreign Ministry has strongly condemned them. Russian diplomats have said that missile and bomb strikes on the territory of a sovereign state grossly violate international law and the UN Charter, no matter what arguments they are presented with. And the consequences of this action, including radioactive one, will have to be assessed.
President Trump claimed Iran's major nuclear facilities had been totally obliterated, a statement denied by the parliamentary member for Qom, where Fordo is based. Qasem Ravanbash said damage was not as severe as reported in US media and was only above ground and could be restored, and the US attack legitimized the use of military operations against its own forces in the region. Iran's foreign minister says Washington has crossed a very big red line.
While President Trump was elected on a platform of putting an end to America's costly involvement of forever wars in our part of the world, he has betrayed not only Iran by abusing our commitment to diplomacy, but also deceived his own voters by submitting to the wishes of a wanted war criminal who has grown accustomed to exploiting the lives and wealth of American citizens to further the Israeli regime's objectives.
Here's the next one. I've got a bunch today. Today's going to be a good one. Hopefully it pushes us through today.
But admits he's worried for his son, who's going through Army boot camp, and what could come after the attack.
He warned them. He's warned them quite a bit. He is trying to break up regimes. I think sometimes you have to show strength to prevent other problems. And I think what he's doing right here is showing that he will carry out strikes, that he is not bluff, and that I should think he's showing strength. I hope that sends a great message. I'm not worried about Iran. What I'm worried about is who would team up with Iran. Does this start something much, much bigger than just Iran? And so, again, we're going to have to wait for a couple of days to see, or weeks to the coming days to see whether this unites others, whether people come to join, Iran.
Those demonstrators were out yesterday calling for peace in the Middle East and rallying against a U.S. war with Iran. We spoke to a protester just after those strikes were announced. Take a listen.
What the United States has done is attack Iranian sovereignty and has basically said that they are starting war with Iran, trying to recklessly start a regional war within the area to continue destabilizing the region. We're out here today to stay hands off of Iran. We don't agree, and we demand for the United States to fully pull out of its imperialist agenda of Iran.
But there are fears this could spark a broader regional war, and some lawmakers are questioning the president's authority to order the strikes.
The only entity that can take this country to war is the U.S. Congress.
Senator Lindsey Graham praising the strike as necessary. House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries calling it reckless and escalatory. Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez said it's grounds for impeachment. And Bernie Sanders, speaking in Oklahoma, said this was unconstitutional. Officials worry retaliation could target U.S. troops or energy infrastructure, raising the specter of high gas prices around the world. We can tell you this morning, Iran's supreme leader is reportedly in hiding out of fears of an assassination attempt. This morning, Pete Hegseth said that the Trump administration complied with the notification requirements of the War Powers Act. And according to reports, Republican members of Congress did receive that notification of the attacks immediately after the planes were sent out.
This is a statement from Donald Trump, quote, "We have completed our very successful attack on the 3 nuclear sites in Iran," etc. I agree. And I want to tell you something. Not only is this news that I've just heard this second alarming, that all of you have just heard, but it is so grossly unconstitutional. All of you know that the only entity that can take this country to war is the U.S. Congress. The president does not have the right . You know, I was talking a moment ago about the fact that we are living in one of the most difficult moments in the modern history of this country, and Trump just made it that much more difficult. That's just another burden we're going to have to carry, and that's just another message we're going to have to get out all over this country. The American people do not want more war, more death. You know, it might be a good idea if we concentrated on the problems that exist in Oklahoma and Vermont, rather than getting involved in another war that the American people do not want. Let me just say this, that in the midst of all of what is going on, what is enormously important is that we do not give up on a vision of where this country must go.
They have everything they need to build nuclear weapons. Why would you bury things in a mountain 300 feet under the ground?
Right.
Why would you bury why do they have 60% enriched uranium? You don't need 60% enriched uranium. The only countries in the world that have uranium at 60% are countries that have nuclear weapons, because they can quickly make it 90. They have all the elements. They have. Why do they have a space program? Is Iran going to go to the moon? No, they're trying to build an ICBM.
No, but
so
that's a
question.
That's a question. That's a question of intent. And you know, in the intelligence assessment, that it was that Iran wanted to be a threshold
How do you
state
know what
and
the
use this
intelligence
leverage.
assessment says?
I'm talking about the public March assessment, and that's why I was asking you if you know something more from
but
March.
That's also
if
an
an order
inaccurate
was
representation of it. That's an accurate representation of it. That's not how intelligence is read. That's not how intelligence is used. Here's what the whole world knows. Forget about intelligence. What the IAEA knows. They are enriching uranium well beyond anything you need for a civil nuclear program.
We bombed Iran.
Yeah.
That's an act of war. We bombed Iran. That is so insane.
As many were just finding out about the strikes,
Reactions outside the White House were understandably mixed. Some strongly support the decision.
It was not surprising. We expect that gonna happen, but we didn't expect the time. And 100%, yeah, we support the Mr. Donald Trump for what happened yesterday.
For others, it's worry. Lorenz Spacher is from Germany.
I'm here for work exchange.
He had heard the situation was escalating.
I didn't knew that they started bombing them. I heard they are preparing some stuff.
But waking up to learn of the strikes, he fears a bigger, more global conflict.
I see more and more countries in war than in peace. Probably that concerns me quite a lot because I'm 21 right now. I have a full lifespan ahead, and I know that there is a whole generation who's probably concerned.
And now the question is, how will Congress respond?
It's not the United States doing the strikes, because the United States, if we were going to declare war on Iran, we do it through the process we have in place, which be congressional approval.
A warning that this is a dangerous escalation. He said so in a tweet. This is a dangerous escalation in a region already on the edge and a direct threat, he says, to international peace and security. There's a growing risk that this conflict could rapidly get out of control with catastrophic consequences for civilians, the region, and the world.
From the Senate, U.S. Senator James Lankford echoing this message, emphasizing his support for the U.S. military. A member of U.S. Senate's Select Committee on Intelligence, the attack on Iran comes 1 month after Lankford traveled to meet with Middle East leaders in Iraq, Lebanon, Jordan, and Israel. U.S. Senator Mark Wayne Mullen claims the attack ends a, quote, forever war, saying in part the president was clear Iran must never have a nuclear weapon. The Republican-led Senate GOP trusts President Trump to keep America safe, free, and prosperous. On the House side, I also had the chance to speak with Oklahoma State Representative Justin Humphrey. He trusts the judgment of the president, but admits he's worried for his son, who is going through Army boot camp, and what could come after the attack.
We also spoke to an Iranian American in Little Tehran near Westwood. She said she and her family are in support of a regime change in Iran.
Iran is a threat to Middle Eastern countries, and I'm very happy about this, what happened. And if President Trump is going to stop making Iran from making nuclear and atomic bomb, this should 100% happen.
And local officials reacting as well. Mayor Karen Bass posting on X saying, quote, following the bombings in Iran, Los Angeles is closely monitoring for any threats to public safety. There are no known credible threats at this time, and out of an abundance of caution, LAPD is stepping up patrols near places of worship, community gathering spaces, and other sensitive sites.
We've long had concerns about the Iranian nuclear program, and been very clear that Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. The US has now taken action to alleviate that threat. It is important that we now de-escalate the situation.
French President Emmanuel Macron with a similar stance. He wrote in part on X, quote, following the overnight strikes, I called for de-escalation and for Iran to exercise the greatest restraint in this dangerous context to allow a return to diplomatic channels, dialogue, a clear commitment from Iran to renounce its nuclear weapons or the risk of the worst for the entire region. This is the only path that leads to peace and security for all.
So we got this one. No, I gotta go like this. Sorry, guys. Bring it up. I'm probably not gonna go too much longer.
Ted Cruz annoyed me.
How many people live in Iran, by the way? I don't know the population.
At all?
No, I don't know the population. You don't know the population of the country you seek to topple? How many people live in Iran? 92 million. Okay. Yeah.
How could you not know that?
I don't sit around memorizing population tables.
Well, it's kind of relevant because you're calling for the overthrow of the government.
Why is it relevant whether it's,
because
it's 90 million or 80 million or 100 million? Why is that
because if you don't know anything about the country...
I didn't say I don't know anything about...
Okay, what's the ethnic mix of Iran?
They are Persians and
What percent?
predominantly Shia. Okay,
it's not even... You don't know anything about Iran.
What? So you can't have an opinion about foreign policy unless you know the census data of the country that's trying to kill you?
Take it for
Is it bad that Iranian politicians are burning the US flag and shouting death to America? Honestly, I don't know how many green bicycles are in Iran, so I couldn't say. And there was this exchange.
Growing up in Sunday school, I was taught from the Bible, those who bless Israel will be blessed, and those who curse Israel will be cursed. And from my perspective, I want to be on the blessing side of things.
Of those who bless the government of Israel?
Those who bless Israel is what it says. It doesn't say the government of, it says the nation of Israel. So that's in the Bible. As a Christian, I believe that.
Where is that?
I can find it to you. I don't have the scripture off the tip of my... You pull out the phone and use the...
It's in Genesis. But so you're quoting a Bible phrase. You don't have context for it. And you don't know where in the Bible it is, but that's like your theology? I'm confused.
Right, so you can't have beliefs unless you can cite chapter and verse at the drop of a hat. They were cute gotcha questions, but if that's the level of debate, God help us. It says that in the Bible somewhere.
Christians have no greater ally than the Jewish state. Let me say this. Those who hate Israel hate America. And those who hate Jews hate Christians. And if this room will not recognize that, then my heart weeps that the men and women here will not stand in solidarity with Jews and Christians alike who are persecuted by radicals who seek to murder them. If you hate the Jewish people, you are not reflecting the teachings of Christ. And the very same people who persecute and murder Christians right now, who crucify Christians, who behead children, are the very same people who target and murder Jews for their faith for the same reason. I will say this. I am saddened.
Please, respect for dialogue. Respect, please. Okay. We're in America.
I will say this, I am saddened to see that some here, not everyone, but some here, are so consumed with hate that you cannot address your brother. I will say this. If you will not stand with Israel and the Jews, then I will not stand with you. Thank you, and God.
And it seems to me Donald Trump is going to have a hard time balancing this divide in the MAGA movement over whether or not he should get involved in the Middle East.
I think this interview is just absolutely comical. You know, you have two knuckleheads, literally knuckleheads, debating each other about a country that none of them know anything about. And one of the knuckleheads tells the other knucklehead that they know the population of Iran because they Googled it 5 minutes ago. And the whole internet thinks that this is a gotcha moment where Ted Cruz got owned by the other knucklehead on the other side. I mean, it's absolutely hilarious. It is truly hilarious that, you know, the most clueless people are claiming to represent what Iranian people want, and neither of them are even interested in listening to what Iranian people want, not at the level of regime change, not at the level of, you know, their feelings about this war, not at the level of their feelings about, you know, what's happening in the rest of the Middle East. They just have absolutely no knowledge or interest in what's really going on in Iran. And you have them going back and forth about who knows what the population of Iran is. I mean, really, in a time of a very, very heavy and difficult time, this is actually comedic relief.
Well, maybe we need a bit of a laugh during these difficult times.
Ted Cruz are going viral, racking up over 35 million views after a fiery clash over U.S. involvement in the Israel-Iran conflict. Tucker Carlson, saying he still supports Israel, openly questioned the role of its intelligence agency, Mossad.
They spy domestically in the United States?
Oh, they probably do, and we do as well. And friends and allies spy on each other. And I assume all of our allies spy on us.
That's okay with you?
You know what? One of the things about being a conservative is that you're not naive and utopian.
Is it in America's interest for Israel to spy on us, including on the president?
It is in America's interest to be closely allied with Israel because we get huge benefits for it.
Cruz stood by his position, saying it was about keeping the U.S. safe and pointing to claims that Iran had plotted to kill President Trump. Carlson also pressed the senator about the role of ATTCK, the American-Israeli Public Affairs Committee, that it plays in American politics.
AIPAC's goals shaped by the goals of the Israeli government. And I'm just going to ask you a question straightforwardly. And if you say no, I think we both know that's not true.
Hey, are they shaped by?
Are they coordinating with the Israeli government?
Are they talking with them? Yes. Is Israel directing them? You want to talk about FARA, the law on lobbying on behalf of someone?
Yeah.
It is, I hire you and you lobby on behalf of me. I direct you. Does Israel direct AIPAC? No, they're not lobbying on behalf of them. Or do they care about them? Yes, but
or do you think that it's just interesting because what you're now describing in a very defensive way, I will say, is foreign influence over our politics?
No.
The Daily Beast says that President Trump claimed Tucker Carlson called him to apologize for being too harsh about his Middle East policy. Carlson also challenged Cruz by asking if he knew Iran's population, roughly 92 million. Cruz didn't have the answer, leading Carlson to question his grasp of the issue. Afterward, Cruz posted a meme on social media comparing himself to Luke Skywalker and mocking the interview, showing Tucker asking, "What is the population of the Death Star?" It was a 2-hour conversation.
All right, everybody. I'm gonna go ahead and call this for now, and I will come back on later on or something if I feel up for it or whatever. Hope everybody's doing well. It's good to see Katie and Miss and Reed and everybody in the chat. Love you guys. I'll be back. Because I'm using the wrong StreamYard, and I feel like it's just I need to use the other StreamYard. So y'all, I mean, I don't know what else to say. But y'all have a beautiful little bit. I'll come back on, you guys. I'll come back on. It's just some isn't right, so I'm just sort of like, to save my content. Hold on. Good night, Katie. Yeah, I mean, if you want to come back, come back. You know, I'll be back here in a little bit. I gotta switch out streaming services or whatever, and I should be able to present the rest of my stuff. Letter Kenny clips. Nah, Gary, I'll be back. I got more stuff. I've got way more of a show put together. It's just, you know, it is what it is. So, hold on, I'm just waiting for it. That being said, where you been, Gary? We missed you, bro. We love you. We miss you. Hope you come back soon. Reed, I'll be back on at some point, unless I fall asleep. Other than that, it was good chilling with you. I already did a long show, or I already did a couple of shows this morning, and I've got a bunch of stuff. It's just, it's not really hitting the algorithm, and I'm too tired to just sit here. So that being said, much love. I will talk to you when I talk to you. Peace out, everybody.